Playing Mrs. Smee.
Yes. Now, has Mrs. Smee been written, or you don't know yet if it's been written
I've not seen the script, but
specifically for you?
Ever since Peter Pan starts off life, not as a pantomime, but it starts off obviously as a book and a play, then it became a musical children's theatre, which is why it was put on every year in London. Peter Pan, traditional story with a lady playing the part of Peter Pan.
Yes.
Always a lady. And in fact, the company that put it on every year for about 40 years in London was the Daniel Mayer Company. Now, in those days, there was no such character as Mrs. Smee. So you had the basic characters. Mrs. Smee is a modern way of putting a dame into Peter Pan. And when I say modern, I think she's probably been a character in Peter Pan for about the last 15, 20 years, maybe. But I've not seen this year's script, so all I know is I'm married to Anton de Beck, and we've decided that we have to think of a name for me, so it might be Antonia, or it might be Antoinette.
Who knows?
Who knows? All will be revealed.
Or dares to dream. Yes. Now, congratulations on your awards at the Pantomime Awards earlier this year. It was this year, wasn't it?
That was actually last year.
I thought it was this. I thought it was January or February time.
I got it February last year. So this year I presented awards at the British Pantomime Award, but no, I got it last year. So it was 2022.
Got it.
2022.
By the way, we saw you in Richmond last year by luck.
Oh.
Because, well, you were in Goldilocks and the Three Bears, weren't you?
Yes, I was.
With Brian Connolly's daughter.
With the lovely Lucy. Lucy. Yeah, fabulous.
Yeah, well, he was here last year in Woking.
Right.
And he told us his daughter was going to be in Richmond, so we watched a Richmond pantomime, and you were in it as well.
Yes.
Which was a bonus.
We had a lovely time, and I first, when I used to do my pantos with Brian, used to do Cinderella, Lucy was probably about 5 or 6, and she and her sister Amy were always backstage when the holidays were on, and I think at that point Brian used to sneak her into the finale, the song sheet where the children come up.
Yes.
And there'd be 5 children, and he'd be chatting to the children, and he'd turn to Lucy and he'd say, "Do I know you, little girl?" And she used to say, "Yes, Daddy." And it used to bring the house down. And I reminded Lucy that there's a bit of business I do in my strip, which involves a bit of help. And she used to help me when she was about 7 years old. So I said this year at Richmond, "Come on, girl, you're going to do it again." And she was Baby Bear in Richmond, which was lovely. And we had a gorgeous time.
Fantastic. You must have seen some changes over the years.
The biggest change I've seen, I think the biggest change for me is that girls playing the parts of boys started to disappear. When I first saw pantomimes back in the 60s, strangely, in the mid-60s, all the boys were played by boys, because Cliff Richard had done a panto at the Palladium, Aladdin, and that turned the whole thing round, and everybody wanted a pop star to be their principal boy. So it was.
Is that how it came about?
Yeah, and when I saw Paul Chuckle in Panto at Swansea in the 60s, his principal boy was a pop singer. We had people like Wayne Fontana, we had Marty Wilde, Jess Conrad, all those 50s pop stars.
Good heavens.
And so I grew up watching boys play boys, but by the time of the 70s, the whole thing changed again, because Cilla Black did pantomime at the Palladium, and everybody wanted to have a girl playing boy again, as it used to be. So all through my 70s, the 1970s, early 80s, in Cinderella, the Prince and Dandini were always ladies. Always.
Yeah.
And then I can remember round about, I'm going to say about 86, 7, 8, round about there, the boys came back again. and the girls haven't really had a foothold in since. It's a changing thing.
So perhaps it'll change again. We don't know, do we?
I firmly believe it will change again. I think that at the moment we've changed the principal girl, who used to be a sort of very pretty little part. She'd sing and she'd fall in love. She's become much, much more of her own woman. She's a feisty girl. I think we're heading for seeing girls playing boys again.
Looks like it. In fact, when we interviewed Robert Lindsay, who played Captain Hook at Richmond, and he said he met Rosemary Ford, his wife, as the principal girl in pantomime.
Yes. And she was a very tall principal girl.
Yeah.
So when you went,
you had to have the legs, didn't you?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And when you came out of drama college, what I think I actually wrote a piece for drama schools that went into a book. I don't know what it was called, like a handbook of theatre or something. But it said when you come out of drama school, you're going to be typecast for pantomime, because when you walk into that hall, if you're a tall girl, they're going to go, principal boy or villain. If you're a short girl, they're going to go, principal girl or fairy. It's characters, and they're going to see you, they're going to spot you. And there is no reason now why I really would quite like to see the boys now played by girls again.
Yeah.
Because it's something I really loved.
Yeah. I think it will happen again, as you say.
Yeah, it's a good role model for girls. If they come to the panto and they go, oh right, she's climbing the beanstalk, good for you, girl.
Yeah.
The best beanstalk climber I know is Sue Pollard, because as Jack and the Beanstalk, she was a good beanstalk climber. All those lovely ladies, Cilla Black. The most fabulous Aladdin was Barbara Windsor. Absolutely perfect and gorgeous.
And she did the Palladium when it closed, didn't she?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah.
So yes, I saw that was the last. I think that was Babes in the Wood she did.
Yeah.
I saw that one with John Inman playing Dave.
Right.
And then, of course, Michael Harrison, who runs Crossroads Pantos now, has gone back to the Palladium, and I think he's on his, must be 5th or 6th year now.
Yes, I think so.
And they sell out.
They do.
Yeah.
No children go to see them, but
some children, but it
some children, if for the families that have got a bit of cash.
Well, it's a fabulous.
Let's see, but it is a great show.
It's spectacle. It's absolute magic.
Julian Clary does a great job.
Well, he will
and
this year.
And they keep coming back, don't they?
And I believe they've got a female Captain Hook at the Palladium, because it's Jennifer Saunders.
It is Jennifer Saunders, yeah,
Captain
you're
Hook,
right.
so there we go.
So how many pantomimes does this year make for you?
This is the 50.
This is the 50th?
This is the 50th, because although I've done 49 years in panto, one year we did 6 weeks at Cardiff, and then we transferred the whole pantomime to Leeds. So I did 2 pantomimes that year, and if you want to be really technical, it's my 52nd, because twice I've done pantomime in Aberdeen and then done pantomime in a different venue 2 weeks later. So
is that the same pantomime then?
No. we were learning one pantomime while doing the other one. Yeah,
oh wow, it sounds like rep theatre.
Well, it was because one or two of the performers had got a contract to go and do EastEnders, so they couldn't do all the panto, they could only do half the run. So we said, okay, yes, fine, we'll do half.
Right, okay, fair enough. So is there anyone that you haven't appeared with in pantomime today that perhaps you would like to have?
This entire cast that I'm with today, I have never worked with one of them.
Oh wow.
So that's kind of a new one for me. Usually I know somebody.
And that doesn't happen very often.
No. Last year when I went into the rehearsal room, there was Lucy Connolly, and I said to you, hi Lucy. Hi, she said. I said, we first worked together when you were 5. Then I went over to one of the ladies of the ensemble called Tia, and I said, hello, we've worked together. And she went, I don't think so, I'm still in college. I said, no. When you were a baby, your parents brought you into the Birmingham Hippodrome, and you were in the dressing room, so technically we worked together. And Paul and Sue were our parents, and so I knew those two. I knew several other people in the panto. So this is the first time that I've literally, first day at school, going, I don't know anybody here, and isn't this exciting?
Absolutely. Yeah, it is exciting, isn't
it? It is.
And you're in Woking,
Yes,
which was ATG's first ever theatre.
And I was here last in 1997
Wow.
in Cinderella.
Good grief.
And I was so popular they couldn't wait to ask me back.
Yeah, obviously. Now, your website, itsbehindyou.com,
Yes.
makes anyone look a fool who questions your commitment to the genre.
Oh.
And you only have to talk to you for 2 seconds to realise how much you know about the genre.
Yeah,
and how knowledgeable you are. And
it's a terrible
so on.
thing. You kind of turn the key, you put the key and turn it, and out comes the history of panto. To me, it's not just my job. It's the history, the traditions. It's knowing who went before you. And I think it's very arrogant to do any job where you don't acknowledge those who went before you. And when you're standing on stage at somewhere like Richmond, which is a very old Victorian theatre, and you're conscious of all those famous people going back to the 1890s who've trodden those boards, it's up to us to know about them. How dare we do our jobs if we don't acknowledge who came before us, and what we're doing is just...
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah, we're just passing on...
They film a lot at Richmond Theatre as well. In fact, they film J.M. Barrie doing Peter Pan when he wrote... Because Johnny Depp played the part.
Quite possible.
And that was Richmond Theatre they filmed it at.
Right. It's a strange story, Peter Pan, because I believe, if I've got this right, to secure the rights to do his own play... he wanted a very big producer to do it. J.M. Barrie had to open his pantomime in America. Well, it wasn't a pantomime, it was a play. He had to open Peter Pan in America, even though it might be brief, it might only be for a day or 2 days, but to secure some sort of rights so that C.B. Cochrane could handle. And so, yes, even then it was a... Did you know, for example, I've always said this when I used to take a panto roadshow round to schools, telling kids about panto. And I used to say, do you like chocolates? And they go, yeah. Do you like those chocolates in the tin with the soldier on it? Oh, yes. Yeah, anybody know what those chocolates in the tin with it? Quality Street. And you go, yeah, that was written by J.M. Barrie.
Wow.
J.M. Barrie had a big hit with a musical called Quality Street. And Macintosh, the toffee people, went to Barrie and said, how much money do you want for us to use the name? And so even then, we don't think about that, but Edwardian era, that sort of business ethic was going. And
amazing.
Yet, Peter Pan he's remembered for.
You wouldn't know that.
Nobody remembers Quality Street.
Good heavens.
They only know Peter Pan.
Good heavens above. That's incredible. So have you always played the dame?
Yes.
Or have you adapted earlier on?
I was sister for 28 years, so ugly sister for 28 years, which is technically a dame who could be nasty and funny.
Yeah.
So 28 years with Peter Robbins, and then I've done, I'm trying to think, Dame now, so 2009, Peter passed away, and I was asked if I wanted to play sister with somebody else, and I said no, I'll do Dame on my own. So that's 2009, I've been playing it then, and prior to all of that, I've been a goose 3 times, a cat twice or 3 times. How many is that? Yes. I've been
animals. Is that for Dick Whittington?
No, Puss in Boots.
Oh,
which isn't done.
No,
Nobody does that anymore. Puss in Boots is a great...
There's about 6 pantomimes, isn't there, that you can name that get rolled over.
Yes, it's what we call the curse of Disney. If Disney have made a film of it, it's the popular pantomime. If Disney hasn't made a film of it... For example, when I took my panto roadshow around the country, I would ask the kids if they knew... Could they tell me 6 British folk or fairy stories? Hands up who knows any British ones. And of course the hands would shoot up with Robin Hood.
Yeah.
That's a British story, became a pantomime. Okay, they'd shout Cinderella. You go, no, that's French. They'd shout Snow White. You go, no, sorry, that's German. Let's have some more British ones. Nobody remembers Robinson Crusoe, which was a British story. They don't remember, very rarely do you get Dick Whittington shouted out, because kids in schools today don't actually know the story of Dick Whittington.
No.
Disney never made it into a film.
and that's what happens, isn't it?
Jack and the Beanstalk is
The
British.
Disney effects, yeah.
Yeah, it's the curse of Disney. If Disney made it into a film, we're sort of trapped within a world of Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, Cinderella. Now, of course, Beauty and the Beast, which has come back into fashion.
Yeah.
It went out of fashion for years. And they're adding Goldilocks is quite a newcomer in a way, because it was very big it was quite big in the 70s and it sort of disappeared. It's back again.
It fits the genre, doesn't it?
Yes, in and out they go. Goldilocks. Yeah. Goldilocks is all spectacle and variety acts. So it's a constant changing. I once said that pantomime has survived because it has adapted.
Yeah.
It's not the good old days. It's not like when you used to have on BBC television the good old days and people used to say, oh yes, I love music hall. No, we're not in a time capsule. We are now. The kids have to see something that's relevant to them. They have to see something that inspires or excites them.
Yeah.
And yet we have to keep following traditions.
Fair enough.
If we don't, we're not doing a real panto.
So, would you have any advice for the thousands, possibly thousands, of non-professionals that think it's going to be easy to play a dame, you just have to turn up in a frock, and it's not. So right. They get there and it's not easy at all.
The first rule of it is please don't be a squeaky, shrieky dame.
No.
Do not raise your voice into a sort of high decibel. No. Be you.
Yeah.
Because a dame is your personality. Whatever you do, whatever character you're playing, you can't help. Yeah. It's your personality. So be yourself in a funny costume that's going to make people laugh. Look at your makeup and go, less is more. I keep looking at dames now on, photographs of dames that look like accident victims.
Yeah.
No. It's years ago there was a place called Fox's in London which supplied the makeup, and you'd go in and you'd say, oh, I'm playing dame this year, and the guy behind the counter would say, okay, peaches and cream. It was a fresh, light base with your eyes very clearly seen, nothing, not draggy, just a nice, fresh. The perfection of it is people like Jack Tripp, John Inman, all that lovely, so be yourself with a nice makeup that doesn't look like you've had a terrible accident. If it takes more than 20 minutes to put it on, forget it.
It's too much.
You're putting too much on. We want to see you. You are the dame.
It's not a clown's makeup, is it?
Yes, I did Paul Merton's makeup the first time he ever played dame. And we were talking about it in the chair because he's a huge panto historian.
Yeah.
Paul Merton knows everything there is to know about the history of panto. And we were saying, it's you they've come to see. They want to see Paul Merton in a dress. They don't want a mask of invisibility. No. Which is why so many famous people don't play dames, because they don't want to lose their identity.
Yeah.
So to those thousands and thousands of people doing dame for the first time, be yourself, don't shriek, wear a funny frock. It's got to be funny. As soon as you walk on, the dress, the funny frock will do the work for you, because they laugh at the frock and already you've got them.
Yeah.
Be warm. Remember that you're somebody's mother and you're kind, so you can't be, it's not RuPaul's Drag Race. You can't be snappy and scabby and too knowing. You're somebody's mum.
Yeah.
Jack's mum who throws the beans away. She might be a bit silly. You're Aladdin's mum who literally say, go on, take him off, I don't care.
Yeah.
It's all about being you in a funny costume, and the thing that nobody nobody can ever learn is the word timing. You can't teach it. You learn it, I think, possibly like I did by standing in the wings and watching comics and going, oh, that's how it's done.
Yeah, you've got to feel it.
You've got to feel it. You never, ever forget that when you say something, there's going to be a laugh. So there is no point in saying the end of your joke as they're laughing, because it's lost in the laughter. There is no point in doing a joke on stage where just as you come to the punchline, you move and distract them. They go, oh, they're and they've lost the end. It's to do with timing. And the genius of timing here in this building is Paul Chuckle.
Yeah.
He and Barry were a double act of quick fire, perfect timing, and I'd like to think that Peter, Robbins and I, as sisters, over 28 years, we had the same thing. It's timing. It's knowing when not to speak because there's going to be a laugh and you don't want to kill somebody else's laugh. In Peter Pan, there's the plea is that if you believe in fairies, clap your hands.
Yeah.
So Tinkerbell lives because the children clap. But they used to say that every time you kill a gag on stage because somebody's moved or said at the wrong point, it's like killing that fairy. You're never going to get it back. You've got your joke, you've set it up, you've fired it off, the timing's gone wrong, you've lost it.
Yeah.
So to me, those are the advances.
Brilliant. So who's Starkey, Paul?
Starkey, I believe, is just a crew member. I haven't got the script yet, but he's a crew member, mate of Smee's.
So you haven't come by the script today, even?
No, not seen it.
Well, people are coming to see you rather than Starkey, aren't they? They're
Of
coming to
course.
see Paul Chuckle,
Yeah.
not Starkey.
Yeah, they're coming to see me, not you, me.
Yeah.
To me, to you.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So has your career taken a slightly different course since your brother was taken away 5 years ago?
Yeah, well, obviously, yeah. I mean, we'd been doing nightclubs, meet and greets, and 15 minutes on stage. And lots of clubs were asking why didn't we do DJ sets and things. And when Barry got really ill, we had a couple of clubs to do which he couldn't do. And I went along instead and did an hour's DJ set and a meet and greet. And it's just gone on from there.
Right, okay.
And of course,
Okay.
filming, acting wise, I've done Doctors, done quite a few game shows. This year I've done 5 TVs already. But nobody ever sees them. I did Springtime on the Farm, I did Late Night Lycett,
Pair of you, One New Faces,
1980,
and
74.
yeah,
Opportunity Knocks in 1967.
those are the days when
Yeah.
talent TV was real talent, and it's not just people who wanted to be famous.
Exactly. Well, you weren't on unless you passed an audition. But
Well, you
now
must have
they
seen
film
some
the
changes
auditions.
over the years.
Yeah,
Good grief.
yeah.
So how would you categorise yourself now?
Actor, comedian, DJ.
Okay. And how did you decide with Barry which type of humour to specialise in? That's quite a good question.
Yeah, it was.
Because
yeah.
you're sort of jack of all trades, aren't you? You sort of do all sorts of humour.
We do, but mainly Barry and I were visual. We're very visual comedy.
Right. That's a good way to put it visually, yeah.
If you saw Barry's legs, it was banana legs. He's very bandy. He used to wear red tights. And we used to call him, banana legs really, used to call him.
Yeah. What can audiences expect from this year's production of Peter Pan, which isn't a normal pantomime, is it? It's kind of been brought into the genre.
Yeah.
It's been hijacked a little bit.
Yeah. Well, it has been around for a long time, but they don't do it very often. Theatre's maybe 15, 20 years between doing Peter Pan.
Yeah.
Because everybody knows the story. You've got Tinkerbell, Wendy and Michael, the kids, and Peter Pan, obviously, and the crocodile, tick-tock, tick-tock.
Yeah.
And obviously Captain Hook and Smee normally, but I'm there as well now, Starkey. So it's Smee and Starkey, not Smee and you, Smee and Starkey. And it has been around for a long time. I remember seeing my dad do it, and that would have been in the 50s, early 1950s. So it's been around for a long time, but you don't see it very often because I think
No.
the other pantomimes are more Christmassy. You know,
Yes.
Aladdin, Cinderella. You know, those
Yeah,
kind of things.
Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Sleeping Beauty.
Or you
Snow
can
White.
probably name on one hand, the fingers on one hand, all the pantomimes that usually get churned
Round and round.
round and round,
Yeah.
and they go like the Aladdins, the Cinderellas, the Sleeping Beauties, and Peter Pan sort of stands out.
Yes, it just gets in now and again. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a good pantomime. It's a good story, but I think the reason is probably because it's the movies that have made it so often. You know, it's. I think you have to live up to it, and of course, it's not easy to do. You've got flying, you've got Tinkerbell that flies all the time, you've got Wendy and Peter and Michael all flying. I'm not flying, I'm glad to say. Unless I've had a few drinks, maybe.
Have you got any advice? Because Sardines, which is our magazine, goes out to the non-professional and the amateur performers or theatre makers. That's who we aim it at, and it's 2 million people in this country. It's incredible.
Yeah.
So have you got any advice for the hundreds, possibly thousands of people that think pantomime's going to be easy until they get involved in one and they realise it's not easy?
No. It's not easy at all, but if you're actually involved in a pantomime, you're going to work in a pantomime
Yeah.
and be a character, then go out and just give it 100%, you know, full confidence, just because it don't matter what the audience think, as long as you give it full confidence and bang it out there, you can't lose. People are going to enjoy themselves. So,
Yeah.
you know, you just enjoy yourself on stage as well.
Where are you from? Are you from Sheffield? Or
Rotherham.
Rotherham,
Yeah, don't
okay.
say Sheffield, please, Rotherham. And do you know, here's a fact for you. A couple of thousand years ago, well, no, 1,000 years ago, you'd say 600 years ago, there was no such place as Sheffield.
Really?
No, Rotherham's been around since the Roman days and before.
Ah.
But when the Industrial Revolution came around, they built steelworks in Rotherham, and everybody working, and they got bigger and bigger. They needed more workers, and there wasn't enough room in Rotherham to put the workers up.
So
They
Sheffield.
built a village called Sheffield for the workers for the steelworks, and the steelworks got bigger, and Sheffield got bigger until, as we know it now, it's the massive city.
And Sheffield Steel is really Rotherham Steel.
Yeah, it was started
should
Rotherham
be.
Steel, but it's Sheffield now. We don't care. We've got history.
Yeah, you have, haven't you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Fantastic. Well, it's all Yorkshire, I suppose, isn't it? We'll say Yorkshire.
South Yorkshire, we're all South Yorkshire, yeah.
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 Okay. Paul, thank you so much. My name's Paul as well.
Oh,
I'm
nice to
Paul
meet you.
Johnson, and you're Paul Chuckle.
I am, yes. Yeah, well, Washington's
Fantastic.
a well-known name, isn't it?
Apparently it means small,
Is it?
which is perfect for me.
Yeah.
I don't know about you.
Well,
For
perhaps
you.
Barry should have been called Washington then, shouldn't he?
Yes.
Because Barry was quite small.
Yes.